do that very often.
Yeah.
No, I was telling her, you know, I'm a former child sex crimes prosecutor, and your bravery and your courage, I applaud you.
Thank you.
And I will tell you, as a former sex crimes prosecutor, people that abuse children don't do so well in prison. And he will spend the rest of his life there. Does that give you any solace?
I mean, it's so hard to put into words how everything feels. Obviously, him being put away for the rest of his life is where he should be, and hopefully it sets an example for any other abuser around the world, because there are so many of them, that their time is up and that abuse is never, ever, ever okay. But my work and the army of survivors, we're not done yet. We still have to hold these organizations accountable. United States Olympic Committee, USA Gymnastics, Michigan State University, they enabled this monster. They took his side over us for so long.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
You know, we just heard your powerful statement at Nassar's hearing. I understand you initially were hesitant to do that. What ultimately changed your mind?
So Wednesday night, it was around 10 o'clock at night, I was just online looking at all of the powerful videos of all of the survivors, and I watched Kyle Stevens say, "Little girls grow into strong women to destroy your world." And I was just blown away. I mean, you watch these young girls at 15 years old, the way that they spoke, the way they delivered their speeches, young girls, women. It was just, I mean, it was, I don't even have words to describe. I just felt like I needed to be there, and when I went there, I mean, we just felt like we were a family. Obviously, under the circumstances of where we met is not where you want to meet someone and make new family and friends, but we'll have this bond forever, and we're all working together to create change. What happened was unacceptable, but it was a very last-minute decision, but I am glad that I did go.
Larry Nassar, that's his name. He made eye contact with you, didn't he, while you were speaking just now? Well, I'm wondering, you know, what was going through your mind? Do you think he felt sorry?
I felt like when I was speaking, he looked at me, he kind of just looked blank. I don't think he understands what he really did wrong. I think he expects everyone to feel bad for him. He wrote a letter to the judge saying it was unfair and that, you know, he shouldn't have to listen to everyone, but I mean, it just, and I called him out in my statement because it's just absurd that that's hard for you. Imagine how all of us feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
We know that this has been incredibly painful for you to relive the abuse, especially in that courtroom, but you were just 15 years old when the abuse happened. You were required to see Dr. Nassar either in a hotel room, a dorm room, alone. He didn't wear gloves, late at night. For a long time, you didn't know that it was abuse. When did the light bulb go on that this is not okay?
Well, I think this is why I feel it's so important to talk about, because when I was younger, I only thought that a stranger could hurt me. I didn't know, and it never occurred to me that somebody that you could trust so much, a doctor, could hurt you. And I think that's why we really have to continue talking about, to educate everyone, especially these young kids from the time that they're really little, that unfortunately, even someone you love can hurt you. I can't tell you how many moms have come up to me since I've come forward saying that they found out their husband was abusing their daughter. I mean, our society doesn't allow ourselves to really understand how common abuse is. And I did find out when, in 2015, USA Gymnastics hired a private investigator, and Fran Zeppler came to my house and interviewed me, and I was totally caught off guard, and I was used to just kind of sticking up for him. Over the years, my teammates and I would talk amongst ourselves saying, he's really weird, and he definitely makes us uncomfortable, but then we would kind of make excuses, and we'd say, well, he does it to all of us, so it must be okay. He's been doing it for so long, so if it was wrong, he would have already been caught. And he's a doctor, and he's the Olympic doctor, so he has to be the best. So we would always just make excuses and stick up for him. And he would give us gifts, so we thought he was there for us. I thought he was my friend, and he really manipulated us. We have to teach everyone the grooming techniques so you understand just because someone's nice to everyone else, just because they give you gifts, does not mean they're a good person.
Yeah. And I love how the abusers in these stories are always the victim. You notice that? They become the victim. Yeah, right. So, We all remember this video of your parents when you were dancing, I guess, or doing your thing. They were wincing at your every move while you competed at the Olympics. Yeah. They love you so much. How did they react when this happened, when you told them?
Devastated. You know, my parents have been so incredibly supportive, and from the moment that we realized that Larry was a monster, we continually followed up with USA Gymnastics to make sure they reported it to the authorities, and they told us that they had, but you know, I regret trusting them. They said we're handling this, and they made me feel like if I kept reaching out, I was going to interfere with the investigation. I didn't want to do that, of course. I didn't want to tip off the investigation, and so, you know, that's why we need an independent investigation to get to the bottom of this, because USA Gymnastics, United States Olympic Committee, Michigan State University, they enabled this and they didn't handle it right, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
And should they have a female doctor? Why they have a male doctor in such a female business?
Well, it's also we're minors too, and you know, we should have never ever been alone with him. He would actually come to my hotel room, work on me on my bed, and so USA Gymnastics knew about this because they were too cheap to have a different facility where we would go to get therapy. You know, you should be together as a group. Sure. And he didn't have a massage table. He never used gloves, but I had never used a trainer or a doctor before, and I was so excited being on the national team. You would assume they'd have the best people, so I didn't know anything differently. So when people, you know, ask how we didn't know, it's because we didn't know anything differently, and that's why we have to talk about it, to educate everyone about it.
Real quick though, you said you talk about holding those accountable. You said MSU's been held accountable, the USOC and USA Gymnastics, but what about the face of US Gymnastics, Bella and Marta Caroli? They have not been implicated, we should say that, and they have denied knowing that any of this ever took place, but did they bear some of the responsibility?
You know, I think that's why even more we need to stress the need for an independent investigation, because I don't have the answers. We don't know all the people that did know, but for so long, I mean, for 30 years, and that's just as far back as we know, everyone stood up for him. Everyone thought he was the best doctor. And, you know, one person enough to complain that he was making them uncomfortable should have been enough.
Wow. It's unbelievable. Nobody said it.
Your bravery again speaks volumes. Your bravery and the bravery of the over 150 girls and women that spoke up. Bravo to you. And I think what you have done will lead to real change for girls all across the country, like my daughter, who is also a gymnast. So I thank you for protecting her and for protecting them. Thanks to Raisman. We'll be right back.